This first question is from TXM. You once wrote, "Love will endure, even if it appears darkness has swallowed us all, to triumph over the wreckage that remains." It's one of my favorite quotes. I find it deeply meaningful as society watches this darkness, led by the US and Israel, spread undeterred. Do you see love eventually prevailing? Love never prevails in that sense. um, it it's a constant uh, struggle against uh, what in theological terms you'd call the principalities of power, which throughout history vanquish and often extinguish um, the proponents of love or justice. Cornel West talks about justice as being the public expression of love, and yet they can never crush it. And there's a novel I really love, and I've read it twice, Life and Fate by Vasily Grossman, who was one of the great war correspondents during the Second World War in the Soviet Union. So if you read any book on Stalingrad, like Beaver's History of Stalingrad, he's constantly quoting Grossman, who was up in the front lines, which is where a good war correspondent should be. And Grossman writes, "The more I saw of the darkness of fascism, the more clearly I realized that human qualities persist, even on the edge of the grave, even at the door of the gas chamber." His mother, by the way, was executed by the Nazis. "My faith has been tempered in hell. My faith has emerged from the flames of the crematoria, from the concrete of the gas chamber. I have seen that it is not man who is impotent in the struggle against evil, but the power of evil that is impotent in the struggle against man. The powerlessness of kindness, of senseless kindness, is the secret of its immortality. It can never be conquered. The more stupid, the more senseless, the more helpless it may seem, the vaster it is. Evil is impotent before it. The prophets, religious teachers, reformers, social and political leaders are impotent before it. This dumb, blind love is man's meaning. Human history is not the battle of good struggling to overcome evil. It is a battle fought by a great evil, struggling to crush a small kernel of human kindness. But if what is human in human beings has not been destroyed even now, then evil will never conquer. And this is, of course, what Melville latches onto in his book Moby Dick, probably our greatest American novel. It's what Mark Edelman espouses in a really tremendous book. It's called Shielding the Flame, and it's interviews with the Polish journalist Hannah Krall, where for both Melville and Edelman, who was the deputy commander of the Warsaw Ghetto uprising, the only one to survive, and an ardent supporter of Palestinian liberation, including supporting the right of armed resistance by Palestinians. He never left Poland, and he was persona non grata in Israel because of it, because of his stance. But he also, like Melville, looked at the deity as malevolent, and he became a surgeon after the war. And when he talks about shielding the flame, he said, as a doctor, he used that kind of metaphor of cupping your hand around a flame to protect it until it's ultimately blown out. So I think that, I don't know that love triumphs, but at the same time, it has a kind of eternal quality that the powerful forces within the world can never crush, as hard as they try. Because, of course, in any despotic regime, and increasingly in our own society, where to stand up for parents who are being wrenched by masked goons from their children, and who've never committed a crime, of course, and are working 14 hours a day for about $12,000 a year or something, to stand up on acts of kindness, acts of decency, acts of justice in any despotic society becomes subversive, and yet people do. And that was certainly true in every war that I covered. There were these magnificent figures who accepted their own self sacrifice and even often the inevitability of their own death um, because of love, because of kindness. And those people have a power to inspire others to act even long after they're gone. Um, and I think that war strips so many things down where it's a kind of palpable battle between evil and love. I always remember when I covered the war in Sarajevo and the heavy shells would come in, and these were 155s and 90 millimeter tank rounds, Katyusha rockets of tremendous explosive power, and they would aim them. The Serbs would aim them at the common water taps because you couldn't get water through the pipes. They were just collection points set up by the UN, and the Serbs knew where they were. So when the shells came in on these crowds, the people were dismembered and had their legs blown off, and it was just horrific. Um, and then you would, after these explosions, amidst all this carnage, have people frantically searching for friends or loved ones. And you could feel radiating out from the center of these scenes those kind of palpable rings of love and death and love and death. Um, so yes, I don't know if it'll conquer, but I think it's probably better to say that evil will never conquer.